Okay. So this is trig review of triangle stuff, which we will need for two-dimensional kinematics, perpendicular vectors. And we need to know some math. So Pythagoras is hopefully something you remember. What's the formula for Pythagoras?
T squared plus K squared plus
Oh. Who knows it? Come on.
A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
Good. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So if you have a triangle that is, now this only works with one type of triangle, right? What type?
right.
It's got to have a right angle in it. So if we draw it like this, what's the square mean? This is 90 degrees. And if we say that A and B are the shorter sides and C is the hypotenuse, then this formula is true, and this formula was derived by a guy named Pythagoras, who was a super old Greek guy. If I give you a triangle like this, what is the long side? Good. This is actually, if I solve for C, you take the square root of all this, right? So this is actually the square root of 3 squared plus 4 squared, yes?
Yep.
So what's 3 squared? 9, and 4 squared is? 16, and 9 plus 16 is?
25.
25, and what's the square root of 25?
5.
5, good. So if you're building a house and you want to know if something is square, I do a lot of renovation work and construction work, and so if you want to do that, what you do is if you want to know if this square is if this corner is square, like if it's perfectly 90, what you do is you measure 3 feet out to here and you measure 4 feet out to here, and then you make a mark and you take your tape measure, and if your tape measure is over 5, you got to push this in, and if it's under 5, you got to push it out. And then when this becomes 5 feet, you know that that is a square corner. So that's used a lot. 3, 4, 5 triangle. It doesn't have to be 3, 4, 5. It can be anything. But the ratio of these two, or the sum of the squares of these two, will be the square of the hypotenuse. Okay, that's Pythagoras. What's the saying for trigonometry? Ty? Soka-toa. Good. Bless you. So we had Pythagoras. Now we'll do trigonometry. So trigonometry is, say it over here, Soka-toa. Okay, so what does Soka-toa mean? What's the so? Lucy says sine, that's right. So sine of theta. What's this?
An angle.
That's some angle. Theta is just a letter in Greek. It's just a symbol. It's not, it looks scary, but it's not. It just means an angle, and that is O over H. And cosine of theta is A over H. And tangent of theta is O over A. So that's how you go so-ka-toa. Okay, what does that mean? Well, let's do a triangle here. Draw it like this. And I'll say that this is theta. Callista, would you flip the door closed for us? Thank you. Thank you very much. What's the longest side? Which of these 3 sides is the longest one? This one? That one? Or this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, the diagonal one is always the longest. What do we call that side?
Hypotenuse.
Good. This is the hypotenuse. And that word is not normally capitalized, but I'm going to say capital H. So this H is this H and that H. That's the hypotenuse side. And then we have 2 sides left. We have one that's touching our angle and another side that's not. So what do we call the side that's not the hypotenuse but is touching our angle? This is called adjacent. The word adjacent just means beside. And so this is beside the angle. So this is the A. So this adjacent side is this A and that A. Okay, and so then what's the last side called?
Opposite?
Yeah. This is across the triangle from our angle. So it's kind of on the opposite side of the triangle from our angle. So this is the opposite side, and that O is this O and that O. Okay, now that should tell you, if you know the angle, you should be able to find, and you'll have to know one of the sides, but you should be able to find the other side. What if I give you both the sides and you have to find the angle? What do you do then? Good, good. Okay, so if you do the inverse of sine, and on your calculator this will be like second function sine, then you just put the sides in here. You do the inverse sine of opposite side over the hypotenuse, and that will tell you the value of your angle. And of course this works for all of our three trig functions. Okay. So you can find, as long as you have two, you need either the angle and one side, or you need two sides. But if you have two, you can find all the rest of the parts of the triangle. Okay. So let's do a quick example. Put your hand up if you have a calculator here today. Good, so get out your calculators. Put your hand up if you have a graphing calculator. Good, like I do. If you take your graphing calculator and you push mode, you'll see there's all these different settings. And if you go down to the third row, you will see a difference between, it'll say rad, which stands for radians, and deg, which stands for degrees. And if this one, the default setting is that it is on rads. So if it's on rads, scroll down and go over to degree and push enter so that you're working in degrees.
Will you be fine with just a scientific calculator?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't need a graphic calculator. And the scientific calculators are usually, the default is degree. But if you're getting really funny numbers, just tell me and I can reset it for you. Okay. Let's do some examples here. Let's do this. Oh, are my glasses clear yet?
Yeah.
See, they're clear. It's really fantastic, actually. Hey, do you know why pirates wore eye patches?
Why?
Tell me.
To make one of their eyes adjusted to the darkness so when they go back in the dark. If I remember correctly.
No, it's just because they look cool. I think you're actually right about that. So that they could jump on a ship, and if they had to go into a dark ship, this eye was already adjusted, so they could go down to the dark ship and then just change it over, and this eye would be adjusted.
All pirates were missing an eye.
That could be too, yeah. Yeah, sea snakes and swords and hooks and things like that. Okay. Here's some examples. So I'm going to give you 3 triangles. This symbol is alpha. It's just a Greek letter. It just stands for an angle. And I'm going to say this is x. So find alpha and theta and x here. And then we'll give you the angle on this one. And we'll do x and y. Actually, this is confusing.
So 25.
Make this x
No, wait.
is y.
15 squared is 220.
So this is x and this is z.
Yeah,
What do you want us to find?
No,
Everything. Everything that's not known.
it's not gonna.
So use your calculator and see if you can calculate those. And if you're watching the video, you can pause this.
Are we going to calculate the angles as well?
Yeah, you gotta do the angle too. No, I'm making a video here, so I'm gonna post up the answers, but don't just write down my answers. You're gonna have to know how to do this, so make sure you can. So I'm gonna go second sine of 10 over 15. This should be about 42. And then I'm gonna do second cosine. 10, 15. That should be about 48. And then x should be 15 times
Oh, it's in rate.
close to 42. I think this is about 11.2 or so. What's the simplest trick to find the other angle once you have one of the angles?
Add them and then minus 180. Right?
Good, so they all have to equal 180, right? But this angle is how much? 90. So these two other angles, they have to add to 90. So I always think in my head, whatever this first number is, has to add to 8. So 5 plus what is 8? 3. So this is going to be 30. And then these two have to add to 10. So this is going to be 38. Because those two add up to 90. Which means all three add up to 180. So actually, if you have one angle, you don't have to do any trig or Pythagoras for the other angle. You just make them add to 90. And then we'll do 295 times the cos 2. This should be about 81. And then 5 sine 52. This should be about 232.
That's the game of like Saturn.
You gave us
I think this is about
I don't
30.
settle in by grade. It's just mindless.
4.
It's quite easy.
Hey, Mr. Espin, is that on the second triangle?
Hold on one second. Is this 15? I think that's right. Sorry, someone was asking.
Is that a 4 or a Y on the second triangle?
This?
Yeah.
That's a Y.
Oh.
This is just X and Y. I think those are correct. So I'm gonna stop this video. That was my tutorial. Yeah. What do you need?